my name is Cassandra Mensing. I am the neonatal director with Austin Pets Alive and with American Pets Alive. So today you are going to learn how to start a nursery if you have one, if you don't have one yet. And this population, I'm sure, is the number one that's getting euthanized in areas just because, once again, no budget, no staff, no one has time to take care of these guys, and they need a lot of care, right? So this is what this presentation is all about, how I can give you the tools so you can go home and actually immediately start pulling kittens and getting their lives saved. So yeah, no experience or knowledge with neonatal kittens. That's how we started. I actually, I'm ruining myself right now, but I was actually a dog person when I first started. I didn't even know what a tabby was, so I had a good friend actually make me a chart of all the different types of cats, like this is what a Siamese looks like, this is what a tuxedo looks like. So I'm getting pretty good now, I think, but so this is a great program because you can pull in anyone. Everyone loves kittens, right? There's no one that's like, ooh, get that ugly bottle-drinking kitten away from me. Look at that. Which that's not proper protocol, just to let you guys know. Make sure you wipe the kitten's mouth afterwards, but it's just cute for the picture. No community awareness of this animal population. Once again, that's a big thing. Most shelters don't even calculate them into their euthanasia numbers. A lot of them will hold on to them for 7 days or so, and if they make it, then they'll count them. If they don't make it, then they won't count them, things like that. So it's really hard for us to know how many are actually dying in the shelters each day. No money, no facility, no supplies, no plumbing, no trash service. Yes, that's how we started. Right there in that beautiful trailer. If you take about half of this trailer, right where it says Austin Pets Alive, and you go this direction, that was our nursery. It had 5 cages in it. It had no running water. So we literally, us volunteers, would take gallon jugs home with us. We'd fill it up with water and come in to volunteer with our water. We had take the trash home with us after each volunteer shift. We take the laundry home with us and do it at home. So basically we just had a place that was warm and had electricity. No bathrooms either. We had to go beg the local businesses to go pee, which was nice. And that season alone was 2009, and we saved 250 kittens that season just by half of an airstream and volunteers coming in. It was 100% volunteer ran back in the day. Dr. Ellen Jefferson, who was our executive director, she was also our vet, and this was her pet project. So she was our one-on-one direct contact at the time. Why rescue bottle babies? Which ones do we rescue? Facility supplies, basic care, things like that. So basically, we already went over the facilities. You can do it anywhere, right? Which ones do we rescue? Now, when we first started out, everything was dying, right? You have your healthy ones, they're beautiful Siameses that are dying in the shelter, right? It didn't matter if they were sick or not. So we decided that we were going to go ahead and pull the most healthiest ones first. The prettiest, the things that we can flip our cages over faster, basically. We concentrated that on our first season. 250 was the first, and then the second season we started going into more to where we decided we're going to pull everything. So ringworm, upper respiratory infection, you name it. But when you first start out, you need to sit together with your group and make sure that you go over what are you going to pull. You can't have 5 people on a team, and then this person wants to pull all black kittens, and everyone else is like, I'm sorry, they don't get adopted as fast. Or this one person is ringworm gun-ho, wants to do it. Well, you got to think about how many fosters do you have? Do you have more fosters that can pull ringworm kittens or more fosters that can take your healthy, cute kittens? And how many times can you reuse this foster home over and over and over again? So it's all about resources when you first start off. The neediest kittens are the ones that we usually pull. We made a decision that 0 to 4 weeks is usually what we call our bottle babies. 4 weeks to about 6 weeks of age is what we call our neonatals. So we describe this group as anything 6 weeks and under. Of course, your sick babies are going to require extra care. So if you already have a foster program in place, which once again I do recommend before you even start a nursery, because once you put those kittens in the nursery, you're just going to fill up and it's going to become a shelter environment where upper respiratory infections and diarrhea and things like that will start spreading around. So the ideal is just to have the nursery as a pit stop. just like how you have it as just them come in during the day, they stay overnight, and then they leave. That way you don't have germs because they have little to no immune systems. These guys, they might have been with mama for a little bit, they might have not been with mama for a little bit, you don't really know. The finder could have fed them evaporated milk for 2 days, you know, all those good stories that you hear. So you don't know exactly what type of kitten you're gonna get. Wean kittens, of course, they need to be cared for every 4 hours. Those are going to be your 4 weeks and up. Your bottle babies need to be fed every 2 to 3 hours. Gruelies, of course, are going to be less labor intensive, easier to place. So if you are having 4-week-old kittens in your shelter that are dying as well, your foster population is going to be a lot larger if you pull the older guys. Once again, it just depends on what population is currently dying in your shelter. Sick and special needs Gruel kittens require extra care. They're harder to place in foster. And then, of course, the certain breeds, what I just talked about. I hate saying that because I love my little black babies. I love my sweet tabbies. But when you're first starting out, if the cute Siameses are dying, you might as well pull them and go ahead because you can flip them faster and your numbers will be a lot higher. Pregnant and nursing cats. This is a program that we did, we've been doing for a few years. Back in was it last year or 2017, I think it was, we had a mama cat that had 0 nipples, none whatsoever. She gave birth to kittens last year, so it was 2018. So she gave birth to kittens, and the foster contacted us and was like, I don't think this cat has nipples. And we were like, all right, you know, we need to work on our training, obviously. And so we asked her to bring the cat in. Sure enough, full of milk, no nipples whatsoever, 5 or I don't know how many kittens, 5 kittens. So poor little things were starving to death. And so now we've had to update our protocol for nursing moms to count nipples before we add babies to them. And so count your nipples, guys, before you just don't assume they have 8. We've made that mistake before. It can happen. It's the only time it's ever happened out of 12,000 kittens or something crazy like that. But so that's on our new checklist. Check nipples first. And then, so anyway, the good thing about this program is we go and we pull moms, healthy moms with babies, and we add our orphans to it. That's another way for you to take care of the problem of these kittens getting euthanized, but you don't have the time to feed them every 2 to 3 hours. So we test mama to make sure she is FeOV and FIV negative. We make sure she's healthy, no signs of URI, anything like that, and then we go ahead and we add orphans to it. We usually only do up to like 6 or 7, depending on the mom and how big the kittens are. We also don't compare the kittens by age. We do it more by weight because you don't want a big fat kitten, even though they're the same age, a big kitten on there because you know they're going to knock all those little babies off. So just make sure they're all around the same weight. Make sure the little baby's really hungry so you can immediately know if it's going to latch or not. You take one of those babies that are already sucking on mama, you pull that baby off so all that milk is right at the very top. You take your new little kitten and you just stick it right on there, and usually they'll root around a little bit and get a hold of it. Adding kittens to mamas is so easy. If they're already like just had a baby and you're sneaking them in, they will take them right away, 99% of the time. You will see right away if that mom does not want that baby. You hold it up to her and all of a sudden she will smack it or she will growl and go away. Like there's no dramatic. I know a lot of people think you add them in there and then tomorrow you're going to find up with a dead kitten. No, that doesn't happen. She either takes it now or she won't take it. It's either now or never. Now, once all the kittens get bigger and mama realizes there's freedom and there's a windowsill I can lay in and all this good stuff, trying to add another litter of kittens onto her is very rare. Few and far between moms will take on a second litter. We've had a few. So in our protocol we only use the moms twice, and then we have her fixed so she can go on for a good life as well. But that's only if she's a good mama. Usually it's only the one time we give her kittens and then she raises all of them and then she goes on and get fixed. And go ahead and accept that you can't say them all. Once again, I think it's really important for everyone who's on the team who's going to be making these decisions to be on the same page. Everyone, go ahead and write your protocol down. This is our mission. This is our goal. We're going to go ahead and we're going to pull 100 kittens from, San Jose shelter or wherever. This is what our goal is. We're going to pull this many kittens from there. And if you make that goal, beautiful. Pat yourselves on the back. Be proud of that. If you don't make your goal, that's completely fine, but you have to have something. You can't just be your first year. Let's just see what we can do. It gives everyone a lot more things to strive for, more, and then the next year you have more of a plan. Okay, so the 100 kittens didn't work. Why didn't it work? Instead of you just being like, okay, next year, why didn't it work? You have some sort of reasoning how and why and how you can fix your protocols later. All right, so getting started, once again, you'll have your foster team. Be creative, flexible, find whatever place you want. Once again, it is just your pit stop. It's just a place for you to take the kittens in. Our city shelter was giving us 2-hour deadlines because they thought that was ethical, right? They couldn't feed the kittens, so they were going to house them and hold on to them for 2 hours. And then if no one came for them, they were going to euthanize them so they didn't starve. So that's where we came in and we were like, oh my gosh, how are we going to get these kittens into foster home within 2 hours when there's like 30-something kittens a day coming into this shelter? So we decided, that's where the trailer comes. It's our pit stop. We're going to pull the kittens. We're going to test them, make sure they're FELV negative so we know what foster homes to put them into. And then we also are going to medically make sure that they are ringworm free, or if they have ringworm, however we're going to do it. Jennifer, our awesome foster manager, she's going to go ahead and look up all her fosters and she's going to contact them immediately. So as they come in, she's constantly trying to figure out how to get them out. So reach out to your community for donated space here in Austin, our nursery. I hope you all get to go see the tour on Tuesday. We'll be having it at the nursery. We'll be giving a tour, and then we'll also have a demonstration on how to feed the kittens as well. But anyway, it's much bigger than the trailer. It's about 2,200 square feet. It was donated to us, so all we do is have to pay the electricity, and of course we have to staff it and everything like that, and we paid for the renovation of it. But once again, it was just an animal lover in our community that was like, hey, you guys need a spot, I'll donate it to you. So people are out there. And then of course, relocate as you grow. All right, so you'll need a plan. Obviously, we already discussed that. You'll need a vet. I know that's a lot of issues that a lot of our rescues have. They have the people, they have the heart, but they don't have a vet that will give them reasonable prices to treat your kittens and take care of them, things like that. And so, of course, being close to a medical team. Our nursery does not have a vet on staff. It is me and my med techs. And so our vet comes by twice a week to check on their animals and anything that we have that they're needed from them. We don't want our vets coming by and looking at a sneezy kitten, wasting their time on diarrhea and stuff like that, or they'll be there all day, every day, right? Kittens just have diarrhea. We want them to come with my broken leg kitten or the eyeball that's hanging out of the head, things like that. I'm like, please, degree, help this, So you'll have to have vets if you're going to be pulling those intense type of kittens. Trash removal, refrigerator, microwave volunteers. So as you get bigger and you move into a bigger space, it will be really beneficial for you to have running water so you can wash your hands. Hand sanitizer, I don't recommend it. People will feed a kitten and have poop on their hands and just squat that stuff on their hands and just wipe it and keep on going, and I don't know how they do it. So washing hands is the one thing I'm always going to tell everyone to do. Throw away your hand sanitizer. If you are looking for a spot to build a nursery in your space, running water would be my number one thing I ask for you guys to get. And then, of course, you'll have to microwave volunteers and, of course, fosters. So this is in our second location, or this is in our third location. This is at our Town Lake Animal Center. I don't know if any of you guys are doing our tours there as well. This was one of our rooms that were back in 2013, 2014, something around there. This room right here held 10 cages, I believe, is how many cages we had in that one room. And then we had 3 separate rooms. So each one, sink, dishwasher, microwave, washer and dryer, more volunteers, more paid feeders, more techs, interns. So yeah, of course, as the bigger population of kittens that you have, you're gonna, of course, have to increase your amount of staff. But that doesn't have to be paid staff. I say staff and I don't mean staff. I mean, we have interns up there, but you can use fellows, we can call them fellows, right? So if you work in a neighborhood that has college students, right, or nursing students, what do nursing students have to do? They have to poke oranges, right? That's what they have to do. Or they can come and volunteer in your nursery and learn how to do blood draws and learn how to do all these other hands-on stuff for free. Like, you don't have to pay them. They need the experience, you have the kittens, and you need the help. That's another outlet of ways that you can get people in. It doesn't have to be animal related. There's a lot of people that come through my fellowship that are not. They're more human medical, but once again, it's just learning your meds. We use a lot of human meds and animal meds, so it's animal medicine. So it's really great for them to hear those names over and over again as well. We do have paid feeders now. Back in the day, once again, it was only all strictly volunteer. I think it was 2013 when we brought in paid feeders because we were open from 6 in the morning to 3 at night, and we were having a lot of trouble getting volunteers from that 10 o'clock at night to 3 in the morning, 6 a.m. in the morning as well. And it also was hard having volunteers coming in that early because if they called out, they'd call out at 5:30, right? They don't call out the night before. It's always last minute they wake up and they're sore throat or whatever. So we decided to put paid feeders in that spot so that way we weren't having kittens going left unhungry in the morning. Our guys only get paid $9 an hour, so it's not like it's a hefty amount of money. And we only have, let's see, we hold up to 150 kittens in our nursery right now, so we have 3 of them a night. Brandon knows all about it, don't you? Yay, he was our night super god. I loved it. But yeah, so those are ways to start. And then more kittens, more structure. So I'm going to talk about Pan-Luke towards the end at our medical slides, but we had 2012 was like our Pan-Luke year. We didn't know what it was. All of a sudden, we pulled a bunch of kittens from an outside source, and they all were just vomiting diarrhea and dropping like flies. We couldn't figure out what was going on. We realized it was Pan-Luke, and we had no idea how to treat it, how to quarantine it, anything. So after that year, because we, in our nursery at the beginning, we were stacking carriers on top of carriers. As soon as a kitten would go to foster, we'd pull that kitten out, I'd spray that carrier down, and I would put new kittens right in. I wasn't cleaning the tables, the refrigerators, the microwaves, anything else that those kittens' germs have been all over that room. I wasn't thinking of that. I was just thinking about the cage. That's all that was in my mindset. Well, meanwhile, we're spreading everything around by touching the pins, by touching the microwaves, all that stuff, and so we were causing kittens to get sick, which is not our goal, right? We don't want to pull kittens and make them sick and die. So that's when we decided to do the all-in, all-out protocol. So we had probably about, a 76 survival rate in 2012, something like that with Pan-Luke, and then we decided to do the all-in, all-out in 2013. Brought our survival rate up to 90% the very next year. And that's just because of sanitation protocol. So basically, all in, all out is we have the 3 rooms. Each room is treated just like a separate nursery. So if I come in to feed kittens into room A, I only go into room A and feed. I don't go into any other room. Now, in order to do this, you got to make sure you have triple the amount of supplies because I can't go into room B or C and get more paper towels, get a chair, get anything, food, you name it. I can't go in that room for anything because if I go into that room, then the germs from room A are now following me into room C. Or if room C has a Pan-Luke kitten that breaks with Pan-Luke, I have to shut that room down. Now, I safely can't say my other 2 rooms are clear if I'm stealing stuff from room C and putting it into the other 2 rooms. So that's how we were able to continually pull kittens in, have part of the nursery exposed, but not have to shut down completely to where I have to say no to my city shelter, which means they'll ultimately be euthanized at the shelter. So it's a lot of work to get your volunteers all on board but you have to start off once, and once again, you just make protocols. Use 409. That's all you say. Don't say use a detergent cleaner, because then how many are there, right? It doesn't matter. Just say use 409. That way they can go open the cabinet and just be like, 409, got it, thanks. Use bleach for this. That's it. Make it so simple that anyone can just come, and if they can read, they can do it. There's not rocket scientists or anything like that, so you just really want to make sure that they understand the importance of sanitation protocols, things like that. Also, standardized training, that's another thing, lessons learned, if you will. Bad habits spread like wildfire, obviously, we all know that. So you gotta make sure that your trainers are on top of it. We created a training protocol for our trainers to where on the first shadow, they have to do A, B, and C with their person. On the second shadow, they do A, B, and C with this person. That way there's no confusion. No one is confused, well, I thought I would do it this way. Well, what did it say to do? Just do it that way. And that makes people feel a lot better and confident in what they're doing and what they're saying. Because like I said, you're not gonna find people that already have this knowledge. You're not gonna find a volunteer who's like, oh yeah, or the ones that you do find, I've been doing this since I was 2. You were not bottle feeding kittens since you were 2. If you were, you're not doing it properly the way you should be. So you have to find the volunteer that's going to fit your need. You just take someone who has the availability and you make them into what you want them to be. Feeders must understand the importance of all protocols. So basically what we did is we just took the feeders that were great. They came in on time, did follow the protocols very well, warm, friendly, and then we just had them train all the new people. So when they come in for their shift, their feeding shift, we just pair them with a brand new person. And then they just do it with them, with the other person just talking and watching them. So if they try to do something and break a protocol, there's somebody right there with them that can say, no, don't do that, don't do this. As you grow, of course, you'll need more area for storage, extra supplies. I don't know if any of you guys use those boxes, but those litter boxes have saved us so much money. We go to me and my girls, we go to happy hour, and then afterwards we go raid grocery stores for their boxes. We go to Petco, PetSmart, we pull all their cans out, and we just steal all their cardboard. And they love us because that's less stuff they have to throw away. But anyway, so those things are great if you're in a budget, and plus Fosters for our little kittens, they're this perfect size for them to jump in and out to use the litter box. As you can see, the storage area, basically you just gotta make sure all your volunteers know exactly where everything's at. Here is where you find your stuff. And then you have to make sure that they know that it's there and that it's stocked. Because you can't send somebody there to find it if it's not there, then they're just gonna come right back to you and waste your time. So just make sure everything is where it is and how you should be. And then create a wish list. Amazon, of course, makes that super easy for us now. We have things delivered all the time. And then repurpose items for your use. So yeah, so kittens, you gotta make sure you have heat sources. These are Snuggle Safe discs. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with those. They are a little pricey, but they are a lifesaver, especially if you're gonna be having a nursery type of environment. You can't have heating pads with cords just running around everywhere. So you gotta make sure that you have these Snuggle Safe discs. They last for about 8 hours typically, but if you keep rewarming them over and over and over, they do break down after time. So what we do in the nursery is we basically always have an extra one. So when we go in to feed our kittens, we pull out that warm Snuggle Safe disc, we sanitize it, put it away, grab a cold one and microwave that one. That way that kitten always has a warm disc. Just in case if something happens and they're late for their feeding and it's an extra hour over or something like that, you don't have to worry about them sitting on a cold. Because it's not all about the food, it's about the warmth as well. That's something that's very important for the bottle babies as well. So once again, the bottle babies every 2 to 3 hours during the day. They can go 5 to 6 hours overnight, so you can get some sleep. And then of course the grill babies will be every 4 to 5 during the day, and then they can go 8 hours overnight. So that's how we try to push our girl babies onto Fosters is you get to sleep with them, but they're still little and cute and all that too. Weigh, feed, weigh. Oh my gosh, weigh, feed, weigh is the most important thing. I feel like if you want to make sure that your kittens are growing, without having to have a whole lot of knowledge of the growth process and all that. You basically just take a kitten, weigh it, empty belly, right? Then you fill it up with milk, and then you weigh it again and see how much it weighs. And then it should be 5% of the body weight. So for the handouts that we passed out, I think on that back sheet, it actually has like the chart. So you don't even have to do the math. You literally just give it to your fosters and you say, my kitten weighs 200 grams, it should weigh 210 afterwards. That's all you do. Simple math stuff, so that way they know they're gaining weight. Weight loss is going to be the first sign of any illness at all. So if a kitten starts losing weight, that's when you start digging in the litter box and you start looking for diarrhea. That's when you start looking at the nostrils, seeing if you see any, nasal discharge, listen to their lungs, things like that. See what you're noticing, anything, if they've stopped eating, things like that. And then the KMR dilutions, that should be in your handout as well. But this has saved us with. Our problem was diarrhea. There's other shelters out there that has the opposite. They have constipation issues with their milk replacement. But we have found if you do the 8-to-1 ratio for the first 4 feedings, then 4-to-1 for the next 4, then you do the 2-to-1 that's recommended, it prevents diarrhea and constipation. So that will help with your kittens because kittens weigh, 130, 150, they're tiny. So if they get diarrhea at all, they're gonna lose weight immediately. So that's your goal, is to help them not lose weight, because they don't have a day or two. You have a 5-pound animal and you're like, okay, you're throwing up, give them 24 hours or whatever and then feed them. You can't do that with kittens because they'll die. They don't have any weight to lose. So you have to be really on top of that with fluids as well. If you have kittens with diarrhea, I actually recommend you do both of those together. We do the gruel babies. The reason why we call them gruel, I forgot, I should probably mention that. Gruel is just wet food mixed with water. And we do that to give them hydration. So kittens basically don't lap up water on their own at this age. So we go ahead and we water it down to an applesauce consistency, put it in the microwave, warm it up a little bit, put your finger in it. And I know people hate this part. Stir it, because you won't feel those hot pockets if you have a spoon or a stick in there. You will feel it with your finger. And that's what happens, is kittens will start eating it and it will burn their mouths, cause blisters, and then you're like, oh, Khaleesi. It's not Khaleesi, it's just a burn on their tongue. So it's a whole road. So just go ahead and stick your finger in it, make sure there's no hot pockets in there, and go ahead and give it to them. Also recommend plates instead of bowls. Kittens are bad with depth perception. So if you have it in a bowl, they're more likely to kind of like run into it and chew on the bowl. If you have it on a flat plate, they're gonna walk in it, which I know is gross. But once they walk in it, they're gonna lick their hands and they're gonna be curious animals, and they're gonna be like, oh, that's delicious, right? And then they're just going to dig in there and start eating. Not really, but that's the goal. Yes? Oh, any type of kitten wet food. We get donated the Merrick Kitten Dinner. That's what we get donated that, but we recommend the Royal Canin. Am I going to get in trouble for saying that? Becky recommends the Royal Canin Baby Cat Wet Loaf. Yeah, so the wet stuff. Only reason why I like it better is because you don't have to blend it when you're syringe grilling it. You don't really have to blend it up that well, but it's super expensive. So if you're on a budget, I think we recommend Nutro Kitten. Anything that really has the first meat ingredient, and it's a kitten. Make sure it's not adult, because adult's going to have less water and calories and stuff like that the kitten needs. Also, you want to feed that to the pregnant and nursing moms too. Make sure everything they have is kitten, and they have kibble and wet food. And as soon as that bowl's empty, you just fill that bad boy back up, because you want mama to have all those calories so she has tons of milk when those kittens are born. So you don't have to worry about them. That way you can just weigh them once a day and that'll be it. But yeah, and then when to feed kibble, we always have kibble out. So how we transition our kittens from bottle babies to gruel babies is the canines. So all babies are going to have the little teeth in the front, the nursing teeth, or however you want to call them. But once they start getting their canines in, that's when you want to definitely take them off the bottle, because that's when they will shred and rip the nipple. They'll digest pieces of it. It gets caught in their intestines, and then here you are doing surgery on a, 300-gram kitten. You can't do surgery on a 300-gram kitten. So always make sure as soon as you get those canines in, you take the ball away and you introduce gruel immediately. I know they have that second step KMR stuff out there. Nah, it doesn't do anything. Don't even buy that. You literally, all you do is you give them a bottle, stop the bottle, and then give them gruel. It's a whole transition. It's not like all of a sudden they need this nutrition as soon as they hit this. It's more of the whole transition. Now they need to start using litter box. Now they need to start eating on their own. Now they need to start playing and learning how to bite each other and things like that. So it's a whole transition. It's not just food that you're that you're switching them from. Also, if any of you guys are doing gruel bottles, which is wet food in the bottle, you are making them go backwards because, once again, it's not the nutrition. You need to be taking that bottle away from them. So you adding new food into that bottle is not going to help that. Yes, ma'am?
And you never mix formula with food. Some guides tell you.
So you can, but don't leave it out because bacteria will grow a lot faster with the KMR in it than just water. So if you are, and once again, it's costly. So, but if you're a foster and you just already have the KMR or whatever there, and if you want to stir some in, that's fine, but just make sure that's not what's left out in the cage, that as soon as you give them a couple minutes to eat it, that gets thrown away and just the regular gets put out. But that's good for calories. It's also good for like nursing moms too. We just don't do it in the nursery because of the bacteria factor and because it's so expensive. Water's free, so yeah, we use that instead. Okay. And then we can go to the next one. Yes. So we have whiteboards to monitor our feeding times. Once again, I really hope you guys come Tuesday. You get to see all this cool stuff. It's a whiteboard that basically has all the kittens that are in the nursery in each room. We do the hurricane system, so the first litter of kittens come in is A1, then we go B1 all the way to Z1, and then the next one starts on A2, and we go through it. We ended up, gosh, I always forget, were we in 30? 31. So we went through the alphabet 31 times last season, which is a record for us. We have not, 793 litters, thank you. Yeah, so that's a lot, quite a bit. So anyway, so we have, the only way for us to do this is for if I come in the nursery and someone says, acorn's vomiting. If I have no system at all, if I'm just randomly naming kittens, random names, I'm not going to know who Acorn is out of 150 kittens. But I do know that it starts with the letter A. So therefore, it's in the A litter. It makes it so much easier for me to figure out who's who. But that's what our whiteboard basically is going to do. It's going to have the A1, A2, whatever litter it is. It's going to have if they're bottle, if they're gruel on there as well, if they're syringe gruel. A lot of our gruel kittens come to us not knowing how to eat on their own. So once again, we'll weigh the kitten. If it loses weight, we will syringe it to its 5%. We don't ever just say, oh, it's not hungry. We'll put it back and check on it later. Because when you're running a nursery, you have 100 other kittens in there that need you as well. So when their time comes to eat, you got to feed them, basically. Med charts, they all have med charts as well, so that way we all know. Volunteers come in and they see kitten has diarrhea, they can see on the sheet, oh, it's already being treated for it. They don't have to run us down and let us know about it. Also on our whiteboard, they also have a notes section, so our volunteers can write notes. Part of the problem with shelter environments is that the kennel techs or the people who clean the cages are the ones that are getting rid of all the evidence of all the vomit and all the diarrhea, and sometimes they don't really know, or sometimes they don't even think about it. They're just in there cleaning, right? They're not investigating all this. So unfortunately, we miss out on a lot of stuff that's happening that we don't see. So that's why we have it, since the volunteers are the ones that are cleaning out the litter boxes and cleaning the cages, we have them make notes as well, whatever they see. Now, they aren't experts. We don't expect them to be experts. So if they write diarrhea, that doesn't mean I'm automatically going to start them on meds. I'm still going to go look to see what I see as well. But especially with kittens, a lot of people think diarrhea is toothpaste, soft. They think it should just be perfect little Tootsie Rolls. Nuh-uh. I mean, that's just the food. You think about all the watered down food and the milk and the things like that. So basically, soft serve or like toothpaste consistency, we consider that normal. Now, cow patty or less than that is what we consider diarrhea with our kittens. We also have sign-in sheets for all our volunteers and staff. That helps us know who was here at what time, especially if they're feeding in certain rooms as well. So if Becky was in feeding in room C and then all of a sudden she goes home and a litter in there pops with Pan Luke, that way I can contact Becky and be like, hey, just wanted to let you know, strip down, shower, don't touch any unvaccinated kittens or whatever, anything like that. Also, it also helps if there was something missing, charts missing in the room. I can contact that volunteer and ask them what happened to it, things like that. We also have an end of the day report that is in your handouts as well. That is how everyone knows what's going on. So if we're pulling like 50, Friday we pulled a lot of animals. We pulled like 50 something animals on Friday from a hoarding case. But in that EOD, we have to have everyone know what we did. So on there was our foster manager, so she knows who went to foster, who's on her list of things to do. The med techs are on there, so they know anyone who's critical for the day, so they can check the next day. It's just an information, so if I'm off tomorrow, everyone knows what I did for that day, and that way they can tag on to that. And of course, when we transfer from bottle baby program to cat program, we stop at 6 weeks, but usually if they're in our program, we'll keep them until the full 8 weeks. We spay and neuter at 2 pounds. So usually at that time, that's when they'll leave our care and go on to the cat program. Okay, prevent and contain contagion. All right, so you can't have these little babies with no immunity whatsoever and then all of a sudden stick them in an area where there's URI and everything running rapid. So you got to make sure your little babies are away from your population of other animals. I know people think, oh, my adult cat's healthy. It's been vaccinated. Yes, it's been vaccinated, so it's not showing symptoms. But that doesn't mean it's not been in contact with the virus or the disease that is on them, right? And then you hold them and hug them, and then now you're grabbing this little kitten with no immunity. Now you're going to get that baby sick. So it's a different way of thinking when you're thinking with these guys. You just got to remember, just don't touch them and touch any other living thing. Just touch them and that's that. So clean, sanitize, decontaminate. Know the difference. We already went over all in, all out. I think we have another slide on that will go into it a little bit better. Medical protocols, our ringworm protocol basically is just use bleach. Now, you guys who use the Rescue or Excel, lucky you, we don't have money, so we can't buy that stuff. So we get our bleach donated, so it's free. And so we just do a 10-to-1 dilution, and that's how we spray down our surfaces and things like that. FIV and FELV protocols, we don't care about FIV, honestly. We now add nursing kittens to FIV positive moms as well, because it doesn't pass through the milk, it doesn't do anything. So the main thing is just FELV. And even then, I'm sure y'all are all going to, I don't know, has it even went? But there's a presentation on FELV. I hope you guys go see it. There's tons of new things we're learning. So I'm even scared to even talk about FELV because what I thought I knew, I don't know. So we'll just skip FELV. Quarantine procedure for more serious contagion like Pan-Luc or Calisi. So our Pan-Luc, what happens is when a kitten comes into our nursery and breaks, we will pull those kittens out and put them into our parvo ward. And then we also have a whole team of volunteers that go into there that take care of them while they're in there for the 5 to 7 days while they're getting treatment. And then once they test negative, they go back out and they go into a foster home. A post-Pan-Luc foster home is one that can have already had Pan-Luc in the home. So if you have fosters that have taken Pan-Luc kittens in, they wind up being, test positive, then you're like, ugh. Now they're quarantined, right? They can't foster for a whole season. We do 6 months. They can't foster for a whole 6 months. Or you can give them post-Pan-Luc kittens because once they get Pan-Luc, they can't get it again, right? So they can still help and foster out, or still help even though they are contaminated. So think of ways that you can reuse those folks even though they are banned, or however you want to put it. And then, of course, know your cooties. All right, we're going to go back into Pan-Luc. So Pan-Luc, diagnosis and testing. So our city shelter, we haven't had Pan-Luc in the nursery since 2017. So 5 years I've not had Pan-Luc in that nursery. Super proud. And then our city shelter had Pan-Luc. For the last 2 years, 2017 and 2018, they both had Pan-Luc. So we had to change our protocols to where now we test all our Pan-Luc kittens with any vomiting or diarrhea from a shelter that has had Pan-Luc, that we have gotten kittens from them with Pan-Luc. We go ahead and test them on intake. That way we know, should we go ahead and put them in the nursery, or should we just go ahead and find a Pan-Luc foster for them, or put them in our parvo ward. Our treatment protocols is just like parvo puppies, basically. It's just 5 days instead of 3 days. So it's the subcubatrol, the polyflex ampicillin subcu, and then Cerenia for any vomiting, and of course fluids. We also add in Panicure now. If they're vomiting, of course, you don't want to give them any orals, but if they're not vomiting, we'll add Panicure as well to them. Quarantine area when there is no Panlick foster and must be away from the nursery, more experienced feeders. So in our Panlick ward that we have, in our parvo ward, we have it to where there are more experienced volunteers that go back there just because they are back there by themselves. So you want someone back there who's not going to be calling you every 5 minutes, where's this, where's that, where's that. But once again, that's training. So these people will get with another trained feeder that will go back there with them, show them how to dress in, dress out, where everything's at, and then the protocols are exactly the same. The feeding and everything is exactly the same. It's just the quarantine, they're trying to keep them in that one area without spreading. And then, of course, keep records, daily care sheets. All right, volunteers and staff. So we have a manager. She's not with us today, but Gloria Hudson is our new program manager. She has an assistant manager as well, and then we have med techs. We have a full-time med tech and 2 part-time med techs. And we're open from 6 a.m. to 3 a.m., usually into March till Thanksgiving, so about 8 months or so we're open during the year. And then the rescue coordinator, this is very important. So this is the person who's going to be actually contact between you and your city shelter. When doing pulls, you must know the nursery foster population. That's where that end of the day report is really great. It has a cage count at the very bottom of it in your handout, and that's way they know how many kittens they can pull that day. So if I say room A, I have 15 empty cages, then she knows she can pull 15 litters that day. She doesn't have to coordinate with me back and forth. She just knows because it's already on that piece of paper. Everyone knows. I already emailed everyone, so I don't have to retell everyone. Communicate with the foster manager, of course. Foster manager, possibly paid. We did have a foster manager for 3 years, unpaid. I don't recommend it, but especially if you can't have one foster manager doing 7 days a week and have a very productive foster team, because the problem with the fosters is they are 24/7 and you have to have the support. That's where your mentors, and I'm not going to go into that because Jen's going to go into that, but that's when your mentors and things step up, but you are going to lose your kittens and your foster if you don't have a great support system for them. And one person cannot do it. So if you are that person, don't feel like you are the one that has to do it. You have to build a team underneath you, and volunteers love that. You give them a grassroots project. You want to be my nursing mom coordinator? Yes, and we do have that position, and that's basically all she does is she looks, sees how many kittens are with all the moms. We get newborns in, and she goes, oh, you have 2 newborns? Let me check my list. All right, so Ruby only has 3 kittens. And they're the same weight. I can go ahead and add them to Ruby. That's a whole volunteer position, someone that just does that. But how much fun is that? You actually get to add orphans to mom. You're creating families. It's great. So volunteers is huge. Training coordinator, which is Miss Becky Schaefer. She's my volunteer trainer. I've had Becky since 2011. I don't know what I would do without her. She did this, by the way. She made this for me, too. But anyway, you need a Becky. Everyone needs a Becky. There she is. And she's my admin. She's volunteer. I can't pay her enough to do it because I don't have any money. But she doesn't want my money that I'm giving her. But that's what you need is you need to find that person who is so invested in it for free that wants to help and really wants to make a difference and use them as much as possible. So she's my training coordinator. She's developing formal trainings, recruit, things like that. This person has to know all the program policies and procedures, and that person has to be involved in them as well. You can't just say, here, do this, because you want their feedback. Is this working? Is this not working? What is the problem here? Because once again, if your training is not good, everything else underneath it is just going to go all to hell. So, so she must know our policies and procedures, and she recruits and trains feeders. And then, our happy hours. You have to have happy hours. Yeah, appreciation and gratitude. So we do just a little feeder of the month type thing to where every time a feeder volunteer comes in and feeds, they write their name down, they stick it in a little jar. And at the end of the month, so the ideal is the more times you come in to feed, the more times your name goes in the jar, and then we pull out something cool for you, and your name gets drawn, and you get on the whiteboard, you're the feeder of the month, and you get an email talking about how you're the feeder of the month, and then you get a gift of some sort. To try to, and then of course the happy hour is more of a community type of thing. When we created the all in, all out, and we went into 3 rooms, it kind of lost the camaraderie with each other because I'm in my room feeding, you're in your room over there feeding, and you're in your room over there feeding. So we thought we would bring more, get-togethers and things like that to where we can just talk about kittens all night, and it's been great for retention. I think we have over 100 volunteers, and we have a 90 retention rate.
90%, 90 to 95% return rate after a 4-month hiatus every year.
Yeah, so every year, 4-month hiatus, and we still have 90 to 95% people coming back. And it's just because we make it so easy for them. They don't have to guess. They just come in and they know exactly what to do, and then they have a support team to help them with it. Yes, listen and learn. Okay, psychology of volunteerism. Okay. Raising money, yay! So grants, corporate sponsors, rich people are always nice. But yeah, so we do T-shirts. That's a new photo. I like that one. That's cute. So we do T-shirts every year. It's something we have. We have our own feeders give us design ideas, and then we have a volunteer who actually just designs it, and then we put it on a voting platform in Facebook, and it's $1 a vote, $5 a vote, and whatever graphic, that's the word, gets the most money becomes our T-shirt. Well, we also use that money to print the T-shirts as well, and then we sell, and then we pre-order them so we get the money ahead of time too. That's how we get it, and then that's how we make money as well. Plus, we feel like it's our little team. We all have our little Bottle Baby T-shirts on, and they're cute. And then we also do our Bottle Baby calendar each year. Same thing. It raises like $3,000 just on voting alone. That's from our fosters. So this is just a way to get our fosters more involved. We're stuck at our house bottle feeding all day. We can't go anywhere, right? So we just take pictures of our animals. So we have them turn them in, and then we do the same thing. We have them all vote on Facebook to see, which one's the winner, the cover, the winner gets the cover, and then we use all that voting money to pay for getting them printed. And a lot of printers love giving discounts on this type of stuff, like we get 50% off because they can write it off on their taxes. So and we do like 100. I mean, we don't do like 500 calendars or anything crazy, but it's still a couple hundred calendars that we do, and most of our bulk, and then that's money on top of that, $20 a calendar on top. So, and then of course the baby shower. So we do a baby shower every year. Where it's the beginning, it's probably close to the beginning of the year. We do this for multiple reasons. One, once you get 100 kittens in a nursery, it doesn't smell so great after a while, right? So we usually try to do it at the beginning of the year where everything is really nice and clean still, everything looks brand new. We get the public in. That's the only time the public is ever allowed in the nursery. They are guided tours. They're not allowed to touch any kittens, or they're not allowed to take pictures. But they are allowed, we do escort them into a room, one of the rooms. We talk to them. They're allowed to look in the cages and everything like that. See what we do, things like that. And then we also have vendors there that will donate 20% of their proceeds to us as well. Usually it's our own volunteers that have their own Etsy businesses or whatever like that. All these people are you already know these people. That's what's so great about getting started. The T-shirt thing, everyone wants a T-shirt. It's so funny. So we sell out like that. And then it gets your word out as well.